words, but changes the burden of government. If the government's going to accuse you of the crime, they need to know this. If Congress is going to criminalize conduct at a federal level, as it does in the FDA Act, then the least we can do is add in
Senator's time has expired.
Requirement. Thank you, and I urge support for my amendment.
Madam President.
Senator from Iowa.
Madam President, I move to table the amendment by the senator from Kentucky and ask for the ayes and nays.
Is there a sufficient second? Appears to be a sufficient second. Clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Akaka, Mr. Alexander, Ms. Ayotte, Mr. Barrasso, Mr. Baucus, Mr. Begich, Mr. Bennett, Mr. Bingaman, Mr. Blumenthal, Mr. Blunt, Mr. Bozeman, Mrs. Boxer, Mr. Brown of Massachusetts, Mr. Brown of Ohio, Mr. Burr, Ms. Cantwell, Mr. Cardin, Mr. Carper, Mr. Casey, Mr. Chambliss, Mr. Coates, Mr. Coburn, Mr. Cochran, Ms. Collins, Mr. Conrad, Mr. Coons, Mr. Corker, Mr. Cornyn, Mr. Crapo, Mr. DeMint, Mr. Durbin, Mr. Enzi. Mrs. Feinstein. Mr. Franken. Mrs. Gillibrand. Mr. Graham. Mr. Grassley. Mrs. Hagan. Mr. Harkin. Mr. Hatch. Mr. Heller. Mr. Hoeven. Mrs. Hutchison. Mr. Inhofe. Mr. Inouye. Mr. Isaacson. Mr. Johans. Mr. Johnson of Wisconsin. Mr. Johnson of South Dakota. Mr. Kerry. Mr. Kirk. Ms. Klobuchar. Mr. Cole. Mr. Kyle. Ms. Landrieu. Mr. Lautenberg. Mr. Leahy. Mr. Lee. Mr. Levin. Mr. Lieberman. Mr. Lugar. Mr. Manchin. Mr. McCain. Mrs. McCaskill. Mr. McConnell. Mr. Menendez. Mr. Merkley. Ms. Mikulski. Mr. Moran. Ms. Murkowski. Mrs. Murray. Mr. Nelson of Nebraska. Mr. Nelson of Florida. Mr. Paul. Mr. Portman. Mr. Pryor. Mr. Reed of Rhode Island. Mr. Reed of Nevada. Mr. Risch. Mr. Roberts. Mr. Rockefeller. Mr. Rubio. Mr. Sanders. Mr. Schumer. Mr. Sessions. Mrs. Shaheen. Mr. Shelby. Ms. Snow. Ms. Stabenow. Mr. Tester. Mr. Thune. Mr. Toomey. Mr. Udall, Colorado. Mr. Udall of New Mexico. Mr. Vitter. Mr. Warner. Mr. Webb. Mr. Whitehouse. Mr. Wicker. Mr. Wyden. Senators voting in the affirmative. Senators voting in the affirmative. Barrasso, Blunt, Brown of Massachusetts, Cardin, Coates, Cochran, Collins, Conrad, Coons, Durbin, Enzi, Graham, Harkin, Inhofe, Isaacson, Kyle, Landrieu, Leahy, Lugar, Manchin, McCaskill, Murkowski, Portman, Reed of Rhode Island, Roberts, Rockefeller, Sanders, Sessions, Warner, Whitehouse. Mrs. Shaheen, aye. Mr. Franken, aye. Mr. Bingaman, aye. Mr. Alexander, aye. Mr. McConnell, aye. Senators voting in the negative. Coburn, Cornyn, Crapo, Johnson of Wisconsin, Lee, Nelson of Nebraska, Hall, Vitter, Wicker. Ms. Ayotte, no. Mr. Menendez, aye. Mr. Inouye, aye. Mr. Pryor, aye. Mr. Grassley, aye. Mr. Brown of Ohio, aye. Mr. Bennett, aye. Ms. Mikulski, aye. Mr. Moran, aye. Mr. Burr, aye. Mrs. Murray, aye. Mr. Rubio, aye. Mr. Nelson of Florida, aye. Mr. Hatch, no. Mr. Carper, aye. Mr. Wyden, aye. Mrs. Gillibrand, aye. Mrs. Feinstein, aye. Mr. DeMint, no. Mr. Reed of Nevada, aye. Mr. Kerry, aye. Mr. Udall of Colorado, aye. Mr. Johnson of South Dakota, aye. Mr. Casey, aye. Ms. Cantwell, aye. Mr. Chambliss, aye. Mr. Johans, no. Mr. Toomey, no. Mr. Schumer, aye. Ms. Snow, aye. Mr. Mr. Levin? Aye. Mr. Corker? Mr. Corker? Aye. Mr. Hatch? Mr. Hatch? Aye. Ms. Klobuchar? Ms. Klobuchar? Aye. Mr. Udall of New Mexico? Mr. Udall of New Mexico? Aye. Mr. Hoven? Mr. Hoven? Aye. Mr. Risch? Mr. Risch? No. Mrs. Hagan? Mrs. Hagan? Aye. Mr. Bozeman? Mr. Bozeman? No. Mr. Cole? Mr. Cole? Aye. Mr. Baucus? Mr. Baucus? Aye. Mr. Lautenberg? Mr. Lautenberg? Aye. Mr. Chester? Mr. Chester? Aye. Mr. Begich? Mr. Begich? Aye. Mr. Lieberman? Mr. Lieberman? Aye. Mr. Merkley? Mr. Merkley? Aye. Mr. Webb? Mr. Webb? Aye. Mr. Shelby? Mr. Shelby? Aye. Mr. Thune? Mr. Thune? No. Mr. Nelson of Nebraska? Mr. Nelson of Nebraska? Aye. Mr. McCain? Mr. McCain? Aye.
Is there any senator who has not yet voted or wishes to change his or her vote? If not, on this amendment, the yeas are 78, the nays are 15. The amendment carries. The motion to table is agreed to. Under the previous order, there will now be 2 minutes of debate equally divided prior to a vote in relation to Amendment 2107 offered by the Senator from Arizona, Mr. McCain.
No taxes.
Mr. President, can we first have order, please?
Senate will be in order. Senator from Arizona. Who wishes the floor? Senator from Arizona.
Mr. President, this amendment is a simple one. It creates a safe individual drug importation program only from approved Canadian pharmacies overseen by the Secretary of Health and Human Services. In a normal world, this would probably require a voice vote. But what we're about to see is the incredible influence of the special interest of particularly pharma here in Washington that keeps people who cannot afford, that have to make a choice between eating and medicine. They will not be allowed to purchase a medication at less than half the price and many times than they will in American pharmacies in Canada. So what you're about to see is the reason for the cynicism that the American people have about the way we do business here in Washington. Pharma, one of the most powerful lobbies in Washington, will exert its influence again at the expense of average low-income Americans who will again have to choose between medication and eating.
Mr. President. Senator from New Jersey.
It is not the special interests that has caused the Senate countless times to reject this policy. It is an amendment that puts Americans at risk, undermines the FDA's authority, has a devastating ripple effect throughout the country's drug supply by allowing foreign pharmaceuticals into the country. It is not simply about Canada. The Canadians themselves have said they cannot be expected to monitor all the drugs coming through Canada and into our country. And all of the web-based opportunities allow untraceable drugs to come through Canada into the United States. This is about the health and security of the American people. That's why time after time the United States Senate has rejected. It's why it should be rejected once again.
Mr. President.
Majority Leader.
I've had during this short time 4 different senators come to me and say, please hold the votes to 10 minutes with the 5-minute penalty. So we're going to do that. A number of senators already missed votes today, and we're going to cut those votes off. If you're not here, there's no excuse. These votes have been scheduled since yesterday. So we're going to turn these votes in exactly at 15 minutes. And the clerks are to be, they can understand that. If you're late, you're late.
Under the previous order, this amendment is subject to a 60-vote threshold. The ayes and nays have been ordered. The clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Akaka. Mr. Alexander. Ms. Ayotte. Mr. Barrasso, Mr. Baucus, Mr. Begich, Mr. Bennett, Mr. Bingaman. Yes, I did, sir. Mr. Blumenthal, Mr. Blunt, sorry. Mr. Bozeman, Mrs. Boxer, Mr. Brown of Massachusetts, Mr. Brown of Ohio, Mr. Burr, Ms. Cantwell, Mr. Cardin, sir. Mr. Carper, Mr. Casey. Mr. Chambliss, Mr. Coates, Mr. Coburn, Mr. Cochran, Ms. Collins, Mr. Conrad, Mr. Coons.
Double check. No problem.
Mr. Corker. Mr. Cornyn. Mr. Crapo. Mr. Dement. Mr. Durbin. Mr. Enzi. Mrs. Feinstein. Mr. Franken. Mrs. Gillibrand. Mr. Graham. Mr. Grassley. Mrs. Hagan. Mr. Harkin. Mr. Hatch. Mr. Heller. Mrs. Hutchison. Mr. Inhofe. Mr. Inouye. Mr. Isaacson. Mr. Johans. Mr. Johnson of Wisconsin. Mr. Johnson of South Dakota. Mr. Kerry. Mr. Kirk. Ms. Klobuchar. Mr. Cole. Mr. Kyle. Ms. Landrieu. Mr. Lautenberg. Mr. Leahy. Mr. Lee. Mr. Levin. Mr. Lieberman. Mr. Lugar. Mr. Manchin. Mr. McCain. Mrs. McCaskill. Mr. McConnell. Mr. Menendez, Mr. Merkley, Ms. Mikulski, Mr. Moran, Ms. Murkowski, Mrs. Murray. Mr. Nelson of Nebraska, Mr. Nelson of Florida, Mr. Paul, Mr. Portman, Mr. Pryor, Mr. Reid of Rhode Island, Mr. Reid of Nevada, Mr. Risch, Mr. Roberts, Mr. Rockefeller, Mr. Rubio, Mr. Sanders,
Yes.
Mr. Schumer, Mr. Sessions, Mrs. Shaheen, Mr. Shelby, Ms. Snow, Ms. Stabenow, Mr. Tester, Mr. Thune, Mr. Toomey, Mr. Udall of Colorado, Mr. Udall of New Mexico, Mr. Vitter, Mr. Warner, Mr. Webb, Mr. Whitehouse, Mr. Wicker, Mr. Wyden. Senators voting in the affirmative: Begich, Bingaman, Bozeman, Boxer, Brown of Ohio, Cardin, Collins, Dement, Feinstein, Franken, Grassley, Heller, Johnson of South Dakota, Klobuchar, Cole, Leahy, McCain, Merkley, Murkowski, Nelson of Nebraska, Nelson of Florida, Paul, Reid of Rhode Island, Rockefeller, Sanders, Sessions, Snow, Thune, Webb, and Wyden. Mr. Cochran. Senators voting in the negative: Akaka, Ayotte, Baucus, Bennett, Brown of Massachusetts, Carper, Chambliss, Cochran, Cornyn, Enzi, Gillibrand, Hagan, Hatch, Inhofe, Inouye, Johans, Kerry, Lautenberg, Lugar, McConnell, Menendez, Mikulski, Moran,
Portman, Reed of Nevada, Schumer, Tester, and Udall of Colorado. Mr. Manchin, no. Mr. Burr, no. Mr. Coburn, no. Mr. Isaacson, no. Mr. Whitehouse, aye. Ms. Cantwell, no. Mr. Johnson of Wisconsin, no. Mr. Crapo, no. Mr. Hoeven, no. Ms. Landrieu, no. Mr. Lieberman, no. Mr. Udall of New Mexico, aye. Mrs. Shaheen, aye. Mr. Conrad, aye. Mr. Harkin, no. Mr. Barrasso, no. Mrs. Murray, no. Mr. Lee, aye. Mr. Roberts, no. Ms. Stabenow, aye. Mr. Blunt, no. Mr. Coates, no. Mr. Warner, no. Mr. Graham, aye. Mr. Pryor, aye. Mrs. McCaskill, aye. Mr. Casey, no. Mr. Alexander, no. Mr. Toomey, aye. Mr. Coons, no. Mr. Corker, no. Mr. Vitter, aye. Mr. Kyle, no. Mr. Wicker, no. Mr. Risch, no. Mr. Durbin, no. Mr. Shelby. Mr. Shelby, aye. Mr. Rubio. Mr. Rubio, no. Mr. Levin. Mr. Levin, aye.
Are there any senators in the chamber wishing to change their vote? If not, on this vote, the yeas are 43, the nays are 54. Under the previous order requiring 60 votes for the adoption of this amendment, the amendment is not agreed to. Under the previous order, there will now be 2 minutes of debate, equally divided.
Mr. President, can we please have order so we can...
The Senate will come to order. Under the previous order, there will now be 2 minutes of debate, equally divided, prior to a vote in relation to Amendment 2109, offered by the Senator from Vermont, Mr. Sanders.
Mr. President,
Senator from Vermont is recognized.
this amendment is supported by Public Citizen, U.S. PIRG, the National Committee to Preserve Social Security and Medicare, and the National Women's Health Networks. Mr. President, in the United States, we pay by far the highest prices in the world for prescription drugs, much higher than Canada, much higher than Europe. There are a number of reasons for that. One of the reasons is the widespread fraud, systemic fraud being perpetrated on the American people by virtually every major drug company in this country. In the last few years, companies like Abbott, Pfizer, Johnson & Johnson, Merck, GlaxoSmithKline, and many others combined have paid billions of dollars in fines because they're ripping off Medicare, they're ripping off Medicaid, and they're ripping off the American consumer. It is high time that we said that fraud cannot be perpetrated as a business model by some of the major corporations in this country. I ask for a yes vote.
Mr. President.
Senator from Wyoming.
Mr. President, I would oppose this amendment. We do need to combat health care fraud, but this amendment goes too far in several aspects. First and most important, it would discourage any settlement agreements. People would fight it to the death if they're going to lose their exclusivity. Second, as drafted, the amendment would require companies to forfeit exclusivity anytime there's a civil or criminal liability under the Federal Drug and Cosmetic Act, and it's disproportionate. This could be triggered by a misdemeanor. In addition, such liability may not reflect fraud. The amendment would discourage the development of new cures for patients. If manufacturers know they could lose exclusivity for even minor infractions, they will not invest the millions of dollars necessary to create new life-saving therapies for patients. I ask that you oppose the amendment and yield the floor.
All time having been expired, under this previous order, this amendment is subject to a 60-vote threshold for adoption. Is there a sufficient second? There appears to be. The clerk will now call the roll.
Mr. Akaka, Mr. Alexander, Ms. Ayotte, Mr. Barrasso, Mr. Baucus, Mr. Begich, Mr. Bennett, Mr. Bingaman, Mr. Blumenthal. Mr. Blunt, Mr. Bozeman, Mrs. Boxer, Mr. Brown of Massachusetts, Mr. Brown of Ohio, Mr. Burr, Ms. Cantwell, Mr. Cardin. Mr. Carper, Mr. Casey, Mr. Chambliss, Mr. Coates, Mr. Coburn, Mr. Cochran, Ms. Collins, Mr. Conrad, Mr. Coons, Mr. Corker, Mr. Cornyn, Mr. Crapo, Mr. DeMint, Mr. Durbin, Mr. Enzi, Mrs. Feinstein, Mr. Franken, Mrs. Gillibrand, Mr. Graham, Mr. Grassley, Mrs. Hagan, Mr. Harkin, Mr. Hatch, Mr. Heller, Mr. Hoven, Mrs. Hutchison, Mr. Inhofe, Mr. Inhofe, Mr. Inouye, Mr. Isaacson, Mr. Johans, Mr. Johnson of Wisconsin, Mr. Johnson of South Dakota, Mr. Kerry, Mr. Kirk, Ms. Klobuchar, Mr. Cole, Mr. Kyle, Ms. Landrieu, Mr. Lautenberg, Mr. Leahy, Mr. Lee, Mr. Levin, Mr. Lieberman, Mr. Lugar, Mr. Manchin, Mr. McCain, Mrs. McCaskill, Mr. McConnell, Mr. Menendez, Mr. Merkley, Ms. Mikulski, Mr. Moran, Ms. Murkowski, Mrs. Murray, Mr. Nelson of Nebraska, Mr. Nelson of Florida,
No.
Mr. Paul, Mr. Portman, Mr. Pryor, Mr. Reed of Rhode Island, Mr. Reed of Nevada, Mr. Risch, Mr. Roberts. Mr. Rockefeller. Mr. Rubio. Mr. Sanders. Mr. Schumer. Mr. Sessions. Mrs. Shaheen. Mr. Shelby. Ms. Snow. Ms. Snow, Ms. Stabenow, Mr. Tester, Mr. Thune, Mr. Toomey, Mr. Udall of Colorado, Mr. Udall of New Mexico, Mr. Vitter, Mr. Warner, Mr. Webb, Mr. Whitehouse, Mr. Wicker, Mr. Wyden. Senators voting in the affirmative: Johnson of South Dakota, Levin, McCain, Sanders, and Schumer. Senators voting in the negative: Ayotte, Barrasso, Baucus, Begich, Bingaman, Bozeman, Boxer, Brown of Massachusetts, Chambliss, Coburn, Cochran, Collins, Conrad, Coons, Crapo, DeMint, Enzi, Gillibrand, Graham, Grassley, Hagan, Harkin, Hatch, Heller, Hoeven, Inhofe, Isaacson, Johans, Johnson of Wisconsin, Cole, Kyle, Lautenberg, Leahy, Lee, Lieberman, Lugar, Manchin, McCaskill, Menendez, Merkley, Moran, Murray, Nelson of Nebraska, Paul, Portman, Reed of Rhode Island, Reed of Nevada, Risch, Roberts, Stabenow, Tester, Thune, Toomey, Udall of Colorado, Vitter, Warner, and Wicker. Mr. Burr. Mr. Burr? No. Mr. Coates. Mr. Coates? No. Ms. Mikulski. Ms. Mikulski? No. Mr. Nelson. Mr. Nelson of Florida? No. Mr. Rockefeller. Mr. Rockefeller? No. Mr. Johnson. Mr. Johnson of South Dakota? No. Mr. Brown. Mr. Brown of Ohio? Aye. Mr. Cardin. Mr. Cardin? No. Mr. Bennett. Mr. Bennett? Aye. Ms. Snow. Ms. Snow? No. Mrs. Shaheen. Mrs. Shaheen? No. Mr. Blunt? Mr. Blunt? No. Mr. Cornyn. Mr. Cornyn? No. Mr. Rubio. Mr. Rubio? No. Mr. Pryor. Mr. Pryor? No. Mr. Shelby? Mr. Shelby? No. Mr. Alexander? Mr. Alexander? No. Mrs. Feinstein? Mrs. Feinstein? No. Mr. Webb? Mr. Webb? No. Mr. Casey? Mr. Casey? No. Mr. Udall? Mr. Udall of New Mexico? No. Mr. Franken? Mr. Franken? Aye. Ms. Cantwell. Ms. Cantwell? No. Mr. Wyden. Mr. Wyden? No. Mr. Carper. Mr. Carper? No. Ms. Murkowski. Ms. Murkowski? No. Ms. Klobuchar, Ms. Klobuchar? No. Mr. Kerry, Mr. Kerry? No. Mr. Sessions, Mr. Sessions? No. Mr. Akaka, Mr. Akaka? No. Ms. Landrieu, Ms. Landrieu? No. Mr. Durbin, Mr. Durbin? Aye. Mr. Corker, Mr. Corker? No. Mr. Inouye, Mr. Inouye? No. Mr. Whitehouse, Mr. Whitehouse? Aye. Mr. McConnell? Mr. McConnell? No.
Is there any senator who wishes to change his or her vote or has not yet voted? If not, on this vote, the yeas are 9, the nays are 88. Under the previous order requiring 60 votes for the adoption of this amendment, the amendment is not agreed to.
Mr. President.
Mr. President.
Senator from North Carolina.
Mr. President, I rise to ask unanimous consent to withdraw the Burr Amendment 2130.
Is there objection? Without objection. Under the previous order, there will now be 2 minutes of debate equally divided prior to a vote in relation to Amendment 2127 offered by the Senator from Illinois, Mr. Durbin.
Mr. President.
Senator from Illinois. Senator from Illinois.
This is a very simple amendment. If you go into the drugstore and take a look at the prescription drugs, every single one of them has been registered with the FDA. If you look at the over-counter drugs, they've all been registered with the FDA. But when you go to the dietary supplement section, no requirement under the law for the companies selling those products to register the name of the products, the ingredients, or a copy of the label. They had a GAO study in 2009, and the FDA said we need this information to protect American consumers. From what? One of them is an example right here. This is a Chinese product which was imported into the United States, put up for sale, and then we discovered one of the ingredients was life-threatening. It never was registered with the FDA. There was never a disclosure of ingredients. If you want to sell on the shelves and counters of America, shouldn't you be at least required, whether you're from China, India, Mexico, or anywhere in the United States, to register your products, tell us the ingredients, give us a copy of the label? The FDA says they need this information to keep Americans safe. Time has expired. I hope you'll support this amendment.
President.
Senator from Iowa.
Mr. President, first of all, this is a drug and device bill. This is not a food bill. We addressed food issues in the food safety bill 2 years ago. This does not solve the problem that Senator Durbin has talked about. This bill is a very delicate balance. We've worked on this bill for 18 months. Stakeholders all over the country, consumers, pharmaceutical industry, pharmacists, all supporting this bill. This would upset that delicate balance. I would say that, Senator Durbin, every supplement has a label, has the ingredients and the potency by law on every single item that is sold as a supplement. This is not a food bill, it's a drug bill. I would yield to my friend, Senator Hatch.
Mr. President, I strongly oppose this amendment. I'll be voting to table it, and I hope everybody else will. It will impose another layer of regulation on an industry that already has a workable regulatory framework. It's totally unnecessary. It's only going to increase costs for those who use dietary supplements. Just a few points. First, HHS has authority to impose an immediate ban on any dietary supplement that poses an imminent hazard to public health. Second, 4 previous FDA commissioners and a former deputy commissioner agree that DSA,
all time for debate has expired.
For 15 additional seconds.
Without objection.
That DSHEA already provides sufficient oversight of this industry. This amendment would strap the FDA with a huge burden that it can't afford to do now. It's already struggling to perform its current core responsibilities. Third, the amendment unnecessarily expands registration requirements. Just one other thing.
Senator's time has expired.
I'll put the rest of my remarks.
Senator from Illinois.
Mr. President, I just ask consent to have the same amount of time was given on the other side.
Without objection.
Mr. President, the FDA asked for this knowledge and information. What am I asking them to disclose? The name of the product, the ingredients, and a copy of the label. If a Chinese manufacturer wants to sell a dietary supplement in Des Moines, Iowa, shouldn't they have to at least report to the FDA the name of the product and the ingredients? It is not required by law now. Please give the FDA this extra information to keep
America safe. Time has expired.
Mr. President.
Senator from Iowa.
I move to table the Durbin Amendment and ask for the ayes and nays.
Is there a sufficient second?